Welcome to the Process Podcast.
From new agent to broker owner.
My name is Travis Mapula. This is my co-host, Preston Guyton. Welcome to the Process Podcast. Preston, how you doing today, sir?
Good, man. Doing great.
Did you question our audience? I've been getting questions from the audience about your running. Did you get out and run this morning?
I did not.
All right. Truth be told, I got 0 questions from the audience about his running, but we do have a half marathon coming up in October, and Preston is committed to it. We've signed him up. We got to get him out there running every day.
Keep him accountable.
Yes. I was falling asleep while I was drinking my coffee this morning, so it was. My foot was hurting, so I listened to my body. I ran 7 miles Monday and Tuesday.
And it's okay. Honestly, all kidding aside, you do have to listen to your body sometimes, and rest is important. And speaking of fitness, our guest today, I'm extremely excited for this. I've trained with Kurt for a couple years at ISI, and anybody who knows me knows I love to get uncomfortable. I seek discomfort in things I do in my life, whether it be personal, professional, fitness-wise. This guy makes me look like an amateur, because I am an amateur compared to him. Kurt has been an MMA fighter. He's been a bodybuilder and earned his pro card. He obviously is a personal trainer. He's a nutrition coach, and now an entrepreneur. I don't know how much more discomfort Kurt Mapula could seek, but Kurt, introduce yourself to our audience.
What's up, everybody? My name is Kurt, and my family immigrated from Philippines 2004, and I basically just grew up here, but I can still speak the language, Tagalog, but just coming from Philippines when I was like 12 years old to like here is such a big difference, just because you're at that age where you're trying to find your identity, and then next thing you know, I'm here, 12 years old, you're starting to like girls, but you can barely speak that language, so you're trying to find yourself, here. And then here I am just going through a journey, trying to make myself better every single time.
I don't think we ever learn how to speak their language.
What, Tagalog?
No, girls.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole other episode right there. So, Kurt, tell us about, obviously, you're known locally here in Myrtle Beach. Obviously, you were a head trainer at ISI. Mm-hmm. You've kind of branched off. You're doing your fitness, your nutrition coaching now. Locally, you're kind of a guy to go to when it comes to like fitness and nutrition questions. But how did your fitness journey start? Like, how did you get into fitness?
Well, it started off when I was young in Philippines. I was bullied as a kid growing up because I was super skinny. Like I didn't eat the right foods. I was super picky. My mom had to work with me with like certain foods. I didn't eat them, so I was my grandmother even thought that my mom wasn't feeding me enough, and I looked malnourished. So growing up, I was just bullied, and I think kids are just naturally just bullies, and if they can get a chance to overpower another kid, they'll do it. And I think like what they'll do with me is like, hey, let's do this thing where you like kind of lock fingers, and then let's see who wins. And then they'll do that with me all the time, and then they'll just pick at me because they know they can win.
Right.
And it'll make them feel better. And so it started from that, and then I'm from Philippines, so we, as a kid growing up, we watched like animes, so like Dragon Ball Z. So I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, and then seeing Goku, which is like the main character. He would train at this like hyperbolic chambers, and like with 100 times the gravity of Earth, doing sit-ups, pull-ups, and push-ups, and it just kind of inspired me to, to be like that, because he found his strength through working out and getting stronger, so that way he can beat the enemies that's coming to Earth. And then I want to feel that. I want to find out. So I remember at 4th grade, I did my first push-ups, and then I only got 4. And then I don't remember what happens like after that forward, but I do remember like every night I would do 20 push-ups, 15 push-ups, 10 push-ups, and then 5, which is the total of like 50. And it started from there, and then we moved to Long Island, Montauk for like a year. And then here in America, we like to do things big, faster, stronger. So I was again left behind again. And so with that, I just learned that if I needed to compete with the other boys, the other guys, I need to be stronger. And then from that, I just kind of learned through, hey, like even though I didn't know about nutrition then, I knew that I always go by this saying, hey, if you wanna be a girl, eat like a little girl. If you want to be a monster, eat like a monster. Yeah. And that was like my motto. And I did that even though, again, like I didn't know anything about nutrition. Lift heavier, eat more. And I started off with that. And then through that, I gained my confidence. That was in high school. I gained my confidence through lifting weights, and it kind of branched off from there.
So obviously, just growing in size, how did fitness impact your life in like other areas?
I think like on a very, very positive note, I think like me being confident in myself and feeling good, looking good, not trying to be cocky or anything, but just feeling good makes it like projects to like other things. Like when you feel good about yourself, you want to do things. You want to meet people just because, hey man, I feel good. I want to meet you. I want to, hey, let's collab or, do things like that.
Right. I always say, and like Preston and I talk about this sometimes, it's like a foundation for your day, but for your life too.
Right.
If you feel good, you work good.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel, I walk in here every day with positive energy because I'm up at 4 a.m. Either ISI
right.
or doing stuff on my own. Like if I don't have that, it impacts my day. Preston didn't work out today, and I was picking on him how he looks a little lethargic today, right? I mean, it makes a huge difference in your day.
It does, sure.
But
yeah, and it's one of those things too. Like if I think about when I didn't work out as much. And I was, still being successful, but when you throw working out into that, like I talked to John Cheplack about it, it's kind of like the superpower. You get healthy, you work out, you have that much more energy, and you can be that much more successful. So, when you're somebody that doesn't work out and doesn't spend a lot of time doing that, if you throw that on top of, you just have that much more energy to get so much more work done.
Absolutely. So take us more through that journey, Kurt. You started working out, obviously got a little bit educated on nutrition and stuff like that. What got you to the world of like being a personal trainer?
It started off with just loving fitness and like what it did to me, and I wanted everybody to feel that as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, I started more from the skinny side, getting bullied, to now feeling good and empowered. Now I want like people to like feel kind of like what I feel. Like I feel good. Like it feels like I have like no restrictions. So if I want to go hiking, if somebody asks me, hey man, let's go hike. Sure, I'll happy to jump in. Hey, let's go for a run. No problem. Hey, let's go for a workout. No problem. And it feels like, I know like in our society right now, like, I mean, we have a very high obesity rate. And I know that, like just being fit in general and just being healthy makes you want to do stuff. And I know I've actually talked to a member, and she said that she wasn't allowed to be in a roller coaster. And I felt that. I was like, man, like the thing that you wanted, that you want to do, now you can't do, which is a roller coaster because she's gained so much weight. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of like, I felt that. I was like, man, like I want to help you so bad. And then from there, I just kind of like just build, like, how can I help more people? How can I be better so that way I can help more people? How can I do more things so that way I can experience what they're experience?
Yeah, that's a lot of empathy to share. That's a lot of weight you put on yourself sometimes too as a coach. I know, like I've even messaged you random questions. I was getting ready for an ultra marathon one time, and I had questions about, I don't know if you remember this, but I had a question about like salt.
Like the salt pills?
Like electrolytes. Yeah. And like you didn't make any money to answer that question. That didn't, I don't even think at that time I was a member at your gym. I think I was going to another ISI, but you answered it. You gave me a bunch of information and gave me a place to look and what to buy. And you do that for more people than just me. That's a lot that you put on yourself, that empathy of trying to help people. And, I think what's hard, I relate that, like I did real estate coaching for a while. And there is a passion there where you love to help people, but it can also, it's almost like a double-edged sword. You love to see people succeed, but then it's like frustrating sometimes when you show them that path and they just won't get on it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
we have a lot of people with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about the MMA because I'm fascinated by that. What made you want to get beat up? Or You fought a couple fights,
right? Yes.
So what brought you to that aspect of getting uncomfortable? Because that's about as uncomfortable as you can get.
Right.
If you've ever been in a fight, most people have, and if you haven't, you're doing okay in life. Don't go out and get in a fight, but that's about as uncomfortable as you can get as a human being, I think.
Yeah, just getting in the cage.
Yeah.
That dude staring at you is like, hey man, I can't wait to punch this dude in the face. But to be honest, that's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I think there's something about it that's just kind of like, hey man, it's time. You know, there's no, like, you've trained enough. Now you're on the cage with another person trying to basically like, hey, it's time to put your work into just perform now.
Right.
And it started off with, loving Dragon Ball Z. And that's a lot of like action, beating up like the bad guys. But I've never really kind of pursued it, I guess you could say. And in high school junior year, I tried it for the basketball team, and I didn't get it. And I even asked the coach, it's like, hey, I know that I didn't make the team. Can I still practice with the guys? And I was disappointed with the answer. He said no. So I had to figure something out. And it just kind of left like a bitter taste in my tongue. And I was like, you know what? I don't need basketball anyways. You know, so the following year, I was like, I'm going to do wrestling. Just because I started to get into like MMA at that time, watching UFC, like, you know, all that stuff. And I was like, a lot of the fighters, they had a background of NCAA wrestlers. Like a lot of them were like, you know, All-American. So I was like, that might be the formula I need to get into MMA. So I did my senior year, I did wrestling, and I loved it. There was something about it, like mano a mano. It's like, hey man, you did what you had, like you could with your teammates. Now it's time for you to do it. Get on the mat and improve your, I guess almost like kind of prove your worth,
right,
kind of type thing. Start off with that because I knew I was gonna go into MMA soon. And then I got to college, and it took me about like 2 years until I finally realized, like, hey man, it's time to go. So I joined Fitness Edge MMA, and I started off with boxing. I got an amazing story with the boxing. So people call me Manny Pacquiao all the time since I'm Filipino. It's like, hey man, you're Manny Pacquiao,
I can see that.
right? And so like the first day was Monday. I only did boxing at that time. So I did boxing, and I was like, I just loved it. I was like, man, why didn't I do this sooner? You know, just hitting something just kind of felt good.
Right.
And then the second day, which was a Wednesday, another boxing. After the practice was done, they had like a boxing ring. And then I asked my partner, one of like the training partners, like, hey, let's go to the boxing ring and let's kind of spar a little bit. I'm like excited. And then the next thing you know, we were kind of like tagging a little bit. And then next thing you know, like our coach is like, hey man, let me tag in there. So I kind of tagged out. So they were kind of going at it. And then look at me, not knowing what's going to come next. I was like, tag me in, being cocky and everything. So I tagged in. It was now me and the coach. And he is like 5'10", like 220, maybe 230. And he's been doing it for like, I don't know, like 10, 15 years. So what he likes to do is he kind of tries to get a feel of like who's he's going against. So he'll let me hit him. And then as a new boxer, you just kind of get excited that, you know, it's, oh man, I'm gonna hit him as hard as I can. You know, this and that. And then next thing you know, like, I was starting to gas out. Like I backed out a little bit, and then I took a deep breath. I saw his eyes. He just kind of smiled. And next thing you know, he started hitting me harder. Bang, bang, to the stomach. Bang, bang. And then he dropped me actually about, not like knocked down, like hit me in the head.
Yeah.
But he dropped me like hitting me in the stomach. I dropped down about 7 times. But the reason why I get up every single time was every time he dropped me, he would start a conversation right across the room. And I felt like I was a little bit disrespected. It's like, oh man, this is easy work for me. So I was like, I got up every single time. No matter how much it hurt, I got up every single time. And then we just kind of kept going at it. And then I think I got him good because he was just kind of playing around. We kind of got here, and I kind of got him with the uppercut. I think it went through the gloves. And then after that, I guess he just probably kind of had enough of it. And then he just started walking towards me. I was already gassed out. He got me in the stomach. And then normally, like when you get in the stomach, you kind of react by bringing your head down. So he got me with the stomach with the right straight. And then he came to the top. He got me hard so here that I felt everything on this side.
Oh, gosh.
So like that whole night, I couldn't close my jaw. That whole night. I mean, I can try to close my jaw, but I never realized that what I just experienced was probably a concussion.
Yeah.
I never knew. I was just, because like the following day I did wrestling, and then, you know, when you do wrestling, you kind of exert force. And then I remember I'd sit in the corner and just hold my head just because my head was pounding. I didn't know what it was until like maybe like that Saturday I was folding clothes like at Hollister. I used to work for Hollister. Just folding clothes, making $7.25. I remember that. And then just standing there, I can feel like my vein, like it felt like it was like pulsing. Like I felt like my headache was about to come. And then I was just doing more research. What is a concussion? And it's basically when you get hit, and then your brain kind of hits your skull, and it becomes like a bruising of the brain. I never knew that.
Yeah.
So I skipped for like a week after that, and then I went back the following week, and I think my coach actually gave me respect for standing up 7 times before he dropped me for the 8th time, and then after that I just rolled out because it hurt so bad. I dropped down, I rolled out of the ring, and I was like, that was it. You know, but he told me that, you know, he gained like so much respect for just hanging on because he was hitting me hard to put me down.
Yeah, and he was quite a bit bigger than you too.
Yeah, and a lot of it sometimes like a lot of fighters they kind of come in cocky all the time, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Like I saw this like with Henry Gracie, he was like talking about when you are confident about what you can do, you don't feel the need to prove yourself.
Right.
But if you don't know anything, it feels like you want to prove yourself. So like you see like those guys aren't trained about anything. They just want to like always fight, even though they've never been in a fight before, because they just want to prove themselves that, oh man, I can fight. And it started off with that. That hurts though.
That's funny. Like I think when you're telling that story, it's like such a life lesson of like I feel like as young, like I've been there too. As like a young person, everybody wants like that fast track to like be the fighter. Mm-hmm. And you had to learn that lesson the hard way of like you're not there yet, you know. So eventually that led you to MMA.
Yes. After about like two years of training, I got my first amateur fight, and that was when I got into the cage. It was like almost like tunnel vision because it was my first fight, and when I got to like my first fight, it felt like I wasn't even fighting. I felt like I was just sparring because I was legit trying to hurt the guy. But like during practice, you know, like you don't hit, you know, you just kind of like tag your guys, you know, you kind of feel it, but you don't try to like finish them.
Right.
And that was like the first round, the second round. But finally at the third round, I started to like enjoy myself, and I was like, this is it. And then finally at the third round, I finished him with a TKO. I got him mount, like on top, and then basically just ground and pound, and then the referee just had to stop it. Climb over the cage, and I was like, boom, baby.
So from MMA, from what I tracked, then you kind of got more serious about being a personal trainer after the MMA experience, or during the MMA experience.
Yes. So I got my internship, and I couldn't train at MMA anymore because like the time was a little bit different. It kind of overlapped like the training time, so I had to put that in the back burner for a little bit, and then I had to figure out what I wanted to do, and I kind of got into powerlifting. After that, squat, bench, deadlift. And then because like with working out, like squat, bench, deadlift, you can do that anytime. You can either do it like 5 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock. But with MMA, you have to train with people. I mean, you can hit the bags, but it's not the same.
Right.
And I did my internship, so I was learning how to deal with like clients, patients, because I did my internship with, it's like a rehab chiropractic. So, you know, if you have like weak, maybe like rear delts, back, so like I'll help kind of I'll be like the guy to train. They'll prescribe the movements, the exercise, and I'll be the one watching I guess like you could say the patients to make sure like they're doing it correct. And then everything started from there.
Nice. So talk about your journey as a personal trainer. So eventually you got to the ISI world. That's Iron Sharpens Iron. That's I would say local, but they've grown quite a bit.
Yeah, we're a franchise now.
All over the place now. It's Iron Sharpens Iron, ISI. You were the head performance coach at the Myrtle Beach location for a while. Talk about that. Like, what got you there?
Well, I wanted to become a doctorate physical therapist from the beginning. And I thought that's what I wanted. My parents told me that's what I wanted. You know, so like I grew up in a Filipino household and like almost like an Asian family, and you're in a culture where your parents are proud of you if you're a doctor or an attorney or like an engineer. So that way they can brag to their other friends. It's like, oh, this is my son. He's a doctor, and they're very, very proud of that, right? And so the way I would start is, so I started working with like ISI. I was still pursuing my DPT. I was getting my prereqs and taking extra classes, my GRE, which I would recommend taking the GRE. Adam brought somebody to ISI.
That's Adam Rice.
Adam Rice, yes. So he's the owner of ISI, and he brought somebody to ISI to speak. Just a speaker about coaching.
He recently launched a podcast too. It's called Fit for Life.
Fit for Life.
It's a good listen as well if you're out there in the podcast world.
But we were going to shut down the facilities Fridays. Like, so all the staff would go in one facility and then we just listen to the presentation. Well, he got there Thursday. I was training in the back with a baseball athlete. He's like 12, 13 years old. And then after that, he got me to come over. And he asked me, he's like, hey, you wanted to become a physical therapist. Why? And then I told him exactly why. You know, I felt like ignorant, not knowing, like, hey, this member feels a little bit of pain in the medial, lateral side, or this side, that side. Like, I felt like I needed to know more. And I thought about PT. And that was it. And then he asked me, why don't you create your own university? If that's all you wanted to do, why do you need to go to PT for that? And it just kind of like made my head, the gears kind of running. It's like, what do you mean by that? It's like, if that's all you wanted to do, why don't you create your own university by creating classes, right? So like, take injury management, maybe injury rehab. You don't have to go to PT for that, because if you're going to PT, you're doing everything. You're not just doing rehab, you're also learning how to do insurance, you know, carry somebody's pee bag, and then after that for like 20 minutes, you sit down, you charge the insurance and this and that. And because he was a physical therapist as well. He got his master's degree, and after 2 years, he said he hated it. But the reason why he got into that was people told him he should go there. And it felt like I was talking to myself. So, and then after that, like, he asked me more questions that really hit me in the core. And he asked me if I'm doing it for the title. And I was like, well, no, I'm not doing it for the title. And he was like, well, you know, because having a doctorate right beside your name sounds pretty good to me. And I went home that night. I was like, is that why I'm trying to pursue doctorate PTs? Because my mom told me? Because she wanted to have like at least like a doctorate, somebody very, quote, quote, like very professional job. Mm-hmm. And I never knew that about me, but I remember just having like an honest conversation about myself. You know, hey, are you doing it for the title? Having the Dr. Mapula. It sounded good, but is that really what I wanted to do? And then again, like, he had another point. It's like, did you really want to become a PT so bad that you were calling almost every single day asking what else can you do to get into the program? I didn't. You know, so do I really want it that bad?
Right.
And then after that, he asked me one more question. You know, if you do get accepted, are you willing to be in debt for 3, 4, 5 years and be willing to pay those debts off for like 20, 30 years? Because your wife is a school teacher, you guys gonna have to move, right? And then you guys gotta find an apartment and pay for that. And then you're not gonna be working full time, and you're gonna be full-time school. So in terms of like financially, you guys can be struggling for a little bit. And then the interest will start to build up after 3 years. Then next thing you know, you have to get the job and then pay it off slowly. And I didn't want that. So he asked me all that and just kind of like rocked me in the core. So I went home that night. I talked to my wife and I was like, honey, I don't know what I want to do. And she's a planner. I'm more like that spontaneous type, and she's the planner. So
you're the visionary.
Yeah.
She's the integrator.
Yes,
that's what
right.
we're talking about in our business. Funny. He's the visionary. I'm the integrator in our business. But anyway, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. So so again, like, she's the planner. So we've been saving up money towards that. So like that way we have like a cushion. So when we move, we have money to spend. So I think we had like 10,000, 12,000 savings, and then she just got like she didn't get like mad, but she just kind of got frustrated because like here we go again. I ruined the plan, and then I don't know what I wanted to do, and this and that. But I ended up talking to Martin Rooney. That's the guy who came. I told him it's like, hey, I don't know what I wanted to do now, and then he told me that's the best part. You want to be confused because through the confusion, you will find your true self and what you wanted to do. And then after that, like after I decided, after about like a week, I actually got waitlisted for MUSC. I saw that. And then after that, I talked to Adam. I was like, Adam, I don't want to go to DPT anymore. I want to work here. I want to work with people. I want to change people's lives because they want to be there rather than you get patients because their doctors told them, hey, you got to do that. And they don't want to be there sometimes. But the people who are coming, they're paying to be there to be helped. So I told him, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. That's it. And then I never checked if I even made it, the waitlisted. You know, I just didn't care. My priority changed after that.
I love that. Like you didn't look in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I didn't have to because I made the decision. So, oh, did I make it? Yes, no. I just didn't care.
Was it worth it?
It was worth it. It was worth it. I'm not in debt, so I'm good. And now I'm finding myself through new adventure. And, I mean, still with the fitness, but I'm still not in debt. And I think that's the most important thing to me.
So how long would you have been in school if you...
About 3.5 years.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how long ago was that?
How long ago was that? Yeah. Maybe 2004.
Okay.
Not 2004. When I was 24. When I was 24. Yeah. So about 6 years ago.
Okay.
All right. So about 6 years ago.
2004, I think I was 24.
Yeah.
So about like 2015, 16, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so your passion, obviously, and it shows in all that you do, is helping people. Helping people achieve stuff. Talk about your new venture, because you were head performance coach at Myrtle Beach location, which is their largest location member-wise for a lot of years. And your passion definitely shows. I mean, there's a lot of members that go there, continue to go there. You still coach there, just not full-time.
Part-time, yep.
But I can tell you, anytime your name is on there's an app where you sign up for workouts.
It's full.
It's full. Like there's a
I hate
wait
it
list.
sometimes.
There's a wait list, and I went a couple weeks ago. I think the max is what,
40?
40.
Yeah. Was it on a Saturday?
Yeah, and there was 52 people there somehow.
And I made it known. It's like, I was like, guys, you have to book your sessions. I was like, we can't have 12, 15 people every single time because the work I'm gonna do, you know, I want to provide like the best workout.
Yeah.
And if it's gonna be like 60 people, I want to make a workout based off 60 people, not based off 40 people, because now there's not gonna be enough equipment.
Right.
But I think I handled that very well because
You
I
did.
told people, it's like, hey guys, it's gonna be full. This is exactly what we're gonna do. We're not gonna do the sleds. We only have 4 sleds. We're gonna do plate push instead. And if you don't have like the skiers, we only have 4. If you don't have the skiers, sucks for you. First come, first serve. And if you don't have the skiers, you're doing high knees instead.
Yeah.
First come, first serve, guys. We just got to do it, you know. And I just made it clear to them, and then so that way there's no frustration. Oh, it's just not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, you improvise.
They
well.
know that. Yeah.
Is that the one on 501 by
Forest Brook. That's
Yes.
it. Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So obviously you have a great reputation as a coach. You were super successful as a head trainer, and then you kind of shifted gears. I remember talking to you. I had left in December. I went away from the Army, came back, and I remember Kim had up to me and said, "Hey, Kurt's no longer the head coach there." I was like, "What? That didn't make any sense." Right? Just because obviously I knew what kind of passion you had for that job, but then when I started looking at your social media, then it did make sense. You kind of found that next way of helping people. Talk about that a little bit. What was when you shifted gears? What did that look like?
It started off during COVID. We unfortunately had to lay off a couple of our full time, and I wasn't scared if I was gonna get let go, because I don't know, like I felt like that sense of like confidence, like, hey, if one door closes, another one will open. Like if you know your worth, that's all that matters, because you can find success somewhere else. But I didn't get laid off, but I think that really just opened up my mind to like, hey, there's no security to anything, you know, so you could be laid off anytime. So that's why I kind of got to like entrepreneurship. You're taking charge of your own life almost. You're not on a salary. Hey, the amount of money you make is basically just you working for that. No one can take that away. But it started off with like almost like bodybuilding, because I was in a prep during that time too, and it started with like uncharted territory, right? Project Uncharted territory, because in bodybuilding, I wanted to get under 5%. I've never been 5% body fat before. Right now, I'm like probably like 14, 15 now. But so like I was like, all right, Project Uncharted, get to 5%. And then from that, it just kind of stemmed to like, man, that could be like something else too. Because what does uncharted mean? To the unknown. And then you're going in a journey, like a journey to the unknown to find the treasure. Mm-hmm. And like I looked at my life, it's like, hey, are you where you want to be right now at the end? Not really. Well, are you doing anything about it? Not really. Well, do something about it. It's like if you're not even working towards that, I was like, what are you doing? You're gonna be doing that for the rest of your life, right? So I had to like take that risk. And Uncharted is, like back in the day with like Columbus and everything, they go to uncharted territory. They've never been there. They don't know what kind of dangers. They don't know what kind of climate. They don't know what else is in there. So there's risk to that. So I want to take a journey into the uncharted, to the uncharted, because I know the treasure lies. What is that word? Rise beyond, or beyond. What you're comfortable with. Because right now, like they've discovered all the treasure in Europe, but there's treasure in America where it's like untouched almost. And I want to pioneer into that. And I created Project Uncharted, and it says here in the bottom, dare to go where others won't. And I got to give credit to Carrie Wilkes. Because I've been like trying to find like kind of like a slogan, and she sent me that, and I was like, man, that is perfect. Because again, like people will stay where they're comfortable at. So I dare people to go where other people aren't going, because that's where the treasure is. And not a lot of people will go there because they don't want to take that risk. And I actually told my wife, hey, I'm thinking about stepping down from being a head coach to this.
Here we go.
So like, she didn't take me seriously at first. So she thought I was just kind of kidding.
Right.
And then here we go again. Yeah. Not knowing what to do, not knowing when the money's going to come and this and that. Because, I mean, I was getting paid pretty good. And it pays the bills, this and that. And
you were comfortable.
Right. I was comfortable.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to go on vacation, it's fine. We like to take like 2 big trips. Like kind of like outside of the country. Well, one outside of the country, and then maybe like 4 to 5 within the country.
Yeah.
And we were fine with that, but I wanted to be more. Like, is this it for me? Just being a head coach and that's it. And I just kind of like look back. It's like, where do you want to be in 10 years? And I think that question really hurt me big time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see myself going there. I felt like I was like, well, I can't really see my 10 years. And then it started with that. I started kind of venturing more like, what do I love to do? Well, I love working with nutrition. And I've seen people, hey man, there's people out there right now doing what you love to do, and they're less qualified than you are. So get your stuff together, do it. Even if you're not fully 100%, you can still help people.
Right.
And start off with that.
Mm-hmm. So talk about, you started this business, and you can find it on Instagram. Yeah, Project Uncharted. Kurt posts a lot of before and after photos of his clients, and they're phenomenal. Some of these people I know from ISI. Some of them I don't know, and I'm like, look at these results, and that's 100% just coaching what they eat.
For the most part. But I did find that the people who are successful with that is the people who are a little bit more active. Because I think we live in a world where, we're sedentary now. And a lot of people sometimes will struggle getting 5,000 steps in a day. That's like less than 2 miles a day. And the people who are like successful, who are like making time to go for a walk, hitting at least like 10,000 steps and beyond. Those are the people who are successful, because you can't always adjust your nutrition down. Because, at the end of the day, for the most part, a lot of it's like calories in versus calories out.
Right.
But there's more to that. Like, if you are super active, can you eat more? You can, sure. But if you're super sedentary, can you eat a lot? Probably not, because like that extra, if you're only burning, let's say, I don't know, like 2,000 calories, but you're consuming 3,000 calories, over time, that's 1,000 calories extra every single day, and the next thing you know, you start to gain weight with that. But I did find that, coaching people is like, hey, let's walk a little bit more. Maybe after your lunch, go for a walk. After dinner, go for a walk. And then sometimes like it's a very, very positive thing for the family sometimes, because they get to take their dogs out. They get to take their kids with them, and they just walk, and then they see the outside rather than staying at home just watching TV.
Yeah, I know. Like for myself, like when I get home from work, one of the things I love, Kim and I will go for a walk.
That's it. Yeah.
We take the dog, we'll take the kids with us, whatever, and we'll just go for a walk, and that's where we connect, talk about our day, whatever. And that's like, I look forward to that time.
Right.
And yeah, we're getting, as a family or just two of us, we're getting moving too.
Mm-hmm. You probably need to log into their phone too and like delete Instacart and everything else. It just makes it
DoorDash
lazier.
and everything.
Yeah. So actually go out of the house and pick stuff up, or go get your groceries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things like that. You think about it. We're a society that moves towards, we don't want to go to the store. We want to have it delivered and everything else.
Conveniency now.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, talk about that too, Kurt, because I've looked at your program a little bit. There's a lot of accountability built into it as well, right? Like they have to check in with you daily.
Every single day.
Talk about that.
Every single day. I don't trust people anymore. Because, again, like, if I talk to you, like, let's say yesterday, it's like, hey, man, how's your nutrition so far? Yeah, man, it's good. Okay, cool. And then today, it's like, hey, man, how was your nutrition today? Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like, well, what's the difference between pretty good and good? Is it good based off you not touching that cake, not eating that, cookie? Or is it good you actually ate what you're supposed to be eating?
Right.
Right, so what does good mean? So, like, I tell people, it's like, hey, it's not that I don't trust you. I just want to see it. Because, like, I ask people to track their nutrition just because it's accountability, so that way they see. But also, if they're thinking about lying, which they don't intentionally try to lie, but if they're trying to lie, they're going to lie on the app, and then when they send it to me, they lie to me. So it's like a double lie there. So it'll make them think twice. It's like, man, I'm only hurting myself. But it is a daily accountability. What I like to do is I ask people to, hey, I want you to weigh in every single day. Weigh in, send me the weight, that's it. Just because like we know that your weight fluctuates daily. Right. But I want to see, like, what I want to do is, like, I want to average the number. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, how long does it take to weigh in? 5 seconds? How long does it take to text me? 5 seconds? That's it. Send it to me. Be done with it. And then what I'll do is like I'll put those information, and I'll just kind of see like the trend. And then sometimes I'll see people. It's like, hey, I asked this client that I have. It's like, hey man, your weight fluctuates big time. I'm just actually interested. Like, how's your sodium? Do you eat more processed like that day versus this day? Maybe you ate a little bit later. Maybe you drank a little bit more water. Are you hydrated, dehydrated? And then he sent me his stuff. And then he showed me that it was like June 1st, he consumed about 4,000 milligrams of sodium, right? So like the following day would be a Thursday, his weight was 216. And then that day, he consumed about 1,800 milligrams of sodium. And then the following day, which is a Friday, he weighed in 212.6. So I just kind of showed it to him. It's like, that's what like sodium's going to do. It's not a bad thing, just being aware, like you consuming more processed, more packaged stuff, you tend to hold a little bit more weight because it's not fresh, and there's more sodium. And sodium normally it makes you retain water weight. Right. And it just showed like it's like then he started to kind of understand. It's like, wow, now I can make a little bit more better decision going forward. And he's been doing it ever since. And he's down, I think 14 pounds already.
That's outstanding. Yeah. That's really outstanding. I love the accountability piece of it. We have a saying around here. Our coach John tells us, he's our business coach, John Cheplak, he tells us accountability is the highest form of love. A lot of people hear accountability and they think, oh, I'm in trouble, right? Or like they think you're picking at them. But really, I'm asking you because I care. Right. You know what I mean? I'm coming from a place of, in your situation, they've literally hired you for that.
Exactly.
that result. And so you have a vested interest with them, but accountability truly is the highest form of love you can show somebody. So I think that's incredible. That piece of it, you're essentially just coaching them on that journey.
Yeah, and digging deep as well, like you said.
That's the key.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing good. Well, what does good mean?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I mean, we do the same things. Like, you need measurable things for accountability. So, dig deeper instead of somebody saying, "Oh, I'm good." Well, what does that mean?
Right.
Because
Because I've talked to like people where, like they said that they're doing good and they're eating quote quote clean. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
But they're eating clean. They're doing good. It's like, well, what's your goal? It's like, well, I'm trying to lose weight. It's like, well, how's your progress past 2 weeks? Just normal gym members. And well, I haven't lost any weight actually. I actually gained a pound. So okay, well, maybe you need to change something what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because there's three things. There's eat to gain for people who need to gain weight. There's eat to maintain, and then there's eat to lose. You could be eating exactly the same food, just different amount.
Right.
So instead of like a cup, maybe do half a cup. So it's just like the portion. So I don't believe in good or bad foods. It's just bad choices.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the good could be, 4 cookies instead of 8.
That's it.
Yeah.
What does good mean? It
Yeah.
means different to different people, for sure.
But I've heard of a lot of things.
Yeah. I'm doing good. I'm only having one bowl of ice cream.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, talk about goal setting, because I've heard on different podcasts I listen to about health and fitness, and even what we do to help people set goals. Sometimes people can have just unrealistic goals, right? And I think with fitness, you probably see it a lot, where it's like, I'm sure you ask the question like, "Hey, what are you trying to achieve? What's your goal?"
Right.
And they're like, "Hey, I want a perfect 6-pack, and I want 4% body fat." Some of that stuff's just not even realistic, right? Like for the average
Based
human
on
being.
their lifestyle.
Right. So talk about that. Like, do you have to have conversations with people about realistic goals or realistic time frames for their goals? I guess
I do, but I also tell them that what is realism really in reality? Because for you, hey man, I need you to work out 5 times a week. Is that realistic for you?
Sure.
Pretty good, right? But somebody who's, let's say, 100 pounds overweight, let's say 55 years old, never worked out ever, would it be okay to ask him, say, hey, I need you to go to the gym 5 times a week? That's probably not realistic to them.
It'd burn out.
So sometimes realism really depends on the person. And I'll tell them, like, hey, realism really just depends on you. Like if you are committed, let's say you say, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds in 12 weeks. Is that realistic? Well, it depends. How much do you want this? If this is something you really want to do, just because let's say somebody made a comment on Facebook, hey man, you don't look too good, you look big, and then just kind of triggered or something that you really want to lose, you want to feel good, and it just kind of it's almost like a wake up call. It's like, hey man, you know that you've been gaining weight. This is a sign to be better. And then if I talk to that person, they're probably a little bit more, I really want to get 20 pounds. I'm willing to do what it takes. But to another person, 20 pounds, if they're like, I just kind of want to try it, I kind of want to see if it's going to work, 20 pounds would be unrealistic to them just because they're not really committed to the process. So I do talk to the client. I talk to him and say, hey, what do you want to do? Okay, cool. You said 30 pounds. 30 pounds in 12 weeks is about 2.5 pounds a week. Can you handle that? That's a lot of weight. Okay, cool. Well, then we calculate how many calories you need to eat, and then we'll calculate it so that way they can see it, and then it'll show a caloric number. Hey, it says 2,000 calories. Would that be okay for you? It's like, well, I don't know what 2,000 calories feels like. Well, we'll try this. If this is too aggressive, we can always increase your calories back up. Because it doesn't have to be always down, down, down. We can always bring it up. And then I have to tell them that, hey, it's okay. It's okay that if it's too aggressive, we can always bring it up. Because we have to take in the factor of your lifestyle as well.
Right.
Are you a busy dad going this, and that? So maybe we can't go too aggressive with it. So it's really up to the person, how much do they really want it and how much, I guess their lifestyle outside of the meeting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Talk about, and I'm fascinated too, we were talking a little bit before we started recording, when you got that business started, obviously in our industry we call it prospecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had
Yep.
you had to proactively reach out to people and say, hey, I'm I'm doing this, I offer this, this is my value, things like that. So you had to build that business, and now you said you've got it to a point where people are contacting you
all the time now.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about that process. How did you get from? How did you prospect in the beginning, and how do you think it went full circle where people are now contacting you?
So I'm a very numbers guy. It's just how it is. Like even like tracking your nutrition. I'm a numbers guy, like weight and everything. So I have like my Google Excel spreadsheet. I have my January, February, March, April, May. I have that, and then like my goal was at least 20 people that I need to get in contact with per month.
Okay.
And I need to convert about maybe at least half of that to like reach my goal.
Okay.
And
you're talking like 20 people, like good conversations.
Good conversations.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what I'm offering. I can help you with this and that. And then I'll just kind of keep their name there. And then if they aren't really interested, or they kind of showed a little bit of interest but they're not ready yet, I'll just kind of mark it as just kind of like a red.
Right.
And then the next month I'll go back to them. It's like, hey man, I'm ready for you. When are you ready? And then it's just like a straight up, just kind of, I'm not like, hey, if you're ready, let's do this and that. Because I know that they need it. They want it. Right. It's not like I'm selling something they don't need.
Or something that's bad for them.
Right. It's like, hey man, buy this car, buy this $100,000 car. It's like, they don't need that.
Right.
But I do know that they need the accountability.
Right.
So I'll reach out to them, and sometimes I'm just straightforward. It's like, hey, when are we going to work together?
I call that being assertive, not aggressive. Because there's a difference, right?
Yeah.
Being assertive.
Buy my stuff. Yeah. But I'll straight up just ask him that, and hey man, you want this? Come on, let's do it. I mean, I don't know what you're waiting for.
So how many clients do you have right now?
As of last week, I have like 52 people.
And
every single day.
Are you maxed out at? I mean, what's the max?
Nope, I can push more. I can push more. I don't believe in setting limits.
Yeah.
I mean, I even read that book 10X, and it talks about like it's not for ordinary people.
Yeah.
Right? And it talks about like when you 10X something, you create new problems.
Right.
You'd rather have those problems than not having enough.
Right.
And I was like, man, that sticks to me. Like rather than just reaching out to like 4, reach out to like 40.
Yeah.
Like
times by 10, yeah.
Yeah. And if they said yes, like let's say half of those said yes, now you have 20 versus having 2. I mean, at the end of the day, you're doing this because you want to provide for your family, you want to create success for, generational wealth. Start with that, and then you'd rather have an abundance and have a problem of like, man, I have too many people, versus like not having enough.
Yeah.
So 6 months you'll have 100.
100.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, we need you to commit. You're committing to 100.
Exactly.
Well, like I'm losing people too because after 3 months.
Yeah, for sure.
And then but what I do with them is like, hey, we're eating to lose. After 12 weeks, we're not eating to lose anymore. Let's reverse diet you back up to maintenance.
Right.
And then eventually, like after about 8 weeks of maintenance, hopefully you'll develop enough habits, kind of eating the maintenance number, and then after that you don't need to eat.
So then you just focus on losing 1, gain 2.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, talk about that though. So now I look at the results you've gotten people, and find him on Instagram. It's incredible. Some of the results you've gotten people. Is that
There's some crazy ones out there?
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at it last night. I was thinking about stuff to ask you and stuff like that, and I was like, oh my god. Like,
well, we talk about goals too, though. Like, most people have a weight loss goal, or they have a goal, and they don't have the steps to get to that goal.
Right.
And that's what you're offering them, giving them the steps to get there. I mean, most people. You see it all the time. I'm going to go to the gym first of the year. I'm going to lose weight. And they come up with all these numbers, but they don't have the process on how to get there.
Right.
Steps to get there.
And the habits.
Yeah.
Because motivation goes away. I always say, like, motivation is a temporary emotion. It goes away. Like, look at the gym, and you know this for years. Look at the gym on January 1st and look at the gym on January 20th.
Right.
It's like what's the percentage? Like 70% of people who joined January 1st dropped out, right? Because that motivation goes away. They didn't have the habits to keep them going. We see that in our industry all the time. These new agents, the success rate for a new agent in our industry, someone who gets their license, 88% go out of business in 2 years. 88%.
That's nuts.
It's crazy. That's a huge. But why? That everybody's motivated when they first come in here. Oh, I'm going to make 100 calls a day, and they know what they.
It takes some work, man.
Right? They know what they have to do, and they know what they want to achieve, but they don't have the habits in place. To make it happen.
Because they're coming. You know, they get in real estate. They want a more flexible schedule, which means they'll never have a schedule most of the time. Right? They're not going to. They're usually not in an environment where there is a schedule. So, I mean, most people can't set up a schedule and stick to it unless they're around people.
Right.
You know, that's why ISI has so much success, because you're working out with a group of people and
Community.
it's
Get it
accountability.
in, get it done.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it too much.
That's what got me hooked on ISI. I'll say that. I know was the community part of it. I think that's something ISI does an incredible job of. Obviously, you were a huge piece of that in the Myrtle Beach location, but talk about with nutrition and what you have going on, like where do you see that expanding to in the future? Like, what are you trying to do with that business? And I hadn't put this into questions,
Right.
But what's your plan, Lonzo? What's your uncharted plan, Kurt?
That's okay. It's like you put me in the spot. You know, I wasn't expecting that, but I have thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, like where do I see this going to, and because like. I mean, like I've read books and it talks about, you know, like being rich and being wealthy.
Right.
You know, wealth is about time.
Yes.
Right. And then rich is just having money. And then it talks about like, you know, like if you want to be wealthy, you got to have time. Right. So like maybe in the future, and see, I'm saying the camera now, so it's going to be recorded.
You're committing to whatever this is.
But I want to try to create maybe like a self-program like nutrition,
right?
Rather than like me keeping them accountable. So like a little bit more like cheaper, I guess you could say.
Something more scalable.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can like, they call it like, well, what is it, like mailbox money? But like create a program to where like it's so good that people want to buy it, that when you're just asleep, they buy it, you wake up, oh man, I'm $50 richer today. That's nice.
Yeah.
And you didn't do anything.
Right.
So, I mean, like, the only work that you had to do was basically, like, the upfront cost and, like, the work, the time. But then after that, it just becomes, like, passive.
So the Project Uncharted app?
Yeah. Well,
I'm thinking about it. So it would probably make it a little bit better if I do, like, the app. Just because, like, you know, what they can do is they can just plug it in there.
Right.
And then I can just have access to, like, their profile. Rather than me just texting them. It's like, hey, man, what you got today for me? They just maybe just screenshot it, upload it to the app, and I can just check it anytime. And so that way my phone is not blowing up too. Yeah.
So right now you have 52 people that you basically track on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's
I don't mind it. You know, like we talked about, you were talking about like the flexibility. And I am a little bit more flexible now, and I have more time. Now that I don't work for ISI anymore as a full-time, like doing accountability, doing like 4 or 5 sessions a day, I don't have to be there. And I would say I work more now, but I don't feel burnt out at all. Just because it feels like you're doing something that you want to do. Yeah. Like you don't have to like, oh man, all right, well I got to go to ISI, drive over there, and then like, you know, like it's like coaching. It gets me tired.
It takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, it takes a lot. Like after like the session, I'll just sit in front of the fan, take my shirt off real quick, and just kind of like, dude, I need some time. Give me like 5 minutes, and then after that, like I kind of cool off a little bit, and then I'm ready to go. Yeah,
if you've ever been to any of those sessions, Preston, you have done that style as before.
I went to North Myrtle Beach for a while.
The coach for those, and a lot of people listening to this have probably been to a workout like that. The coach leads the workout. They're the energy source for the workout. Like people are looking to you for like quote unquote motivation.
Right.
So it's not one of those jobs you can show up and just be like, I'm tired today. Like you have to be 100% on every single day that you're there. That's a tough job. I think.
The title is based. It's called, the position is called performance coach.
Right.
And when I was head coach, I try to hammer on people like my coaches, guys, performance coach. You're not just a coach, but you're performing in front of people. I said, just imagine this. Like if Kanye, that's the first person I was on my head. If Kanye has a bad performance every single day or every single time he has a concert, would people buy his tickets?
Nope.
No, you lose money. You know, like, and for us, it's like, hey, if you, I'm not gonna say like suck as a coach, like if you don't care about people, your session sucks just because like you're tired, you don't want to put like the effort. Eventually, people are not gonna show up to your session just because like they don't get anything out of it.
Yeah, right.
And I tell people all the time, it's like, guys, like people come drive 10, 15 minutes to get a workout in. You better make sure you give them 50 minutes of good workout. And then they leave. So that way when they leave, it's like, man, I'm glad I came.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to show up.
Kurt, one of the things, obviously we're friends on social media, and, you know, I've watched your journey in the few years I've known you. One thing I thought was cool is you wanted to improve your speaking ability.
Yes.
Your ability just to... And just to get out there and communicate. You signed up for Toastmasters, right? You went through that whole process. Talk about that. Like, why was that important to you? And, like, what did you get out of that?
I believe that everyone should do Toastmasters, just to start this off. Just because I was reading this book. It's called 7 Principles of Public Speaking. It's like a free Audible on like the Amazon Audible.
Right.
And I listened to that, and it says, like, one of the reason why you should get into like public speaking is communication. I think that there's something in us that we want to be heard, and we want to be able to communicate clearly to the next person, and that's one of our what we yearn for as a human being. And I think the reason why like people have conflict sometimes is because they can't clearly communicate to each other. 100%. There's like a misinformation. It's like, hey, you don't know what I'm feeling. And the next thing, it becomes like you start to assume that this person is, you know, coming in to threaten your livelihood, you know, when they're just coming in to just help. And so with like Toastmasters, the reason why like I wanted to get into that, well, it started off with, I was talking to a member, Maria Elias. She's a phenomenal swimmer, and she's like top in the country. But I don't know how like the conversation started, but I talked to her. And she was like, hey, you should do Toastmasters. I was like, what is that? It's like, well, it's like an international group, like a non-profit international group that do public speaking. I was like, that sounds like a good idea. But like me, like my first initial thought was like, I don't want to speak in front of people.
Right.
But in order to get to where I want to be, I have to learn how to speak in front of people. I mean, like what we're doing right now is basically public speaking.
Right.
Now you just have to do it with like a big group of people and understand like their energy and like what they're feeling. So I joined Toastmasters, and I have an advantage just because I'm a coach at ISI, and I talk to people and yell at people all the time. And I remember, like, when I first started doing ISI, just being on the mic, all right, guys, here's what we got. We got 5 burpees. Go. Like, I'll see people roll their eyes. And but now, when I see people doing that, I don't give a crap. You're doing 5 burpees. I was like, unless you're like injured with your ankle, your back, you're doing 5 burpees. And I'll just stare at him and say, hey, 5 burpees. And they're like, okay. But like, I've earned that respect from them.
Right.
Because I do care about them. So like, okay, Kurt, I'll do it. You know, like they can't get away with it. But, you know, coming into that, like the only thing I need to learn was basically get outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Talk about things that are not completely related to fitness. Maybe talk about obsession, because I did talk about that. That was one of my speech was obsession and just being obsessed at life. And if you're so obsessed with your life, you don't have to worry about what anybody else thinks because you're worried about you.
Right.
And so I got into that because I know that this is what I want to do. I mean, the perfect example is now just speaking to you guys and just having my thoughts. I'm trying though, you know, just having my thoughts, gather my thoughts so that way I can communicate it properly.
So was that in Myrtle Beach or was that online?
Myrtle Beach. I started off with Zoom,
Okay.
with like the COVID.
Yeah.
But it's better in person.
Kurt, I have a list of more questions I could ask you. I'm going to ask you one more.
Sure.
We're almost at an hour of this podcast.
Right.
This has been good stuff. What's the most influential book you've read or listened to, Kurt?
I would say Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
That's, you know, I don't know if I told you, Preston's nickname around here now is Preston Goggins, because now his newfound passion for running.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But the reason why I picked that book is I think it just opened up my eyes. Because I think sometimes we live so much like in comfort now, like in a bubble, that, you know, like reading and listening to David Goggins' story is like, man, this can't be real. This dude was abused as a kid, like the family got abused, then the family left, and then the mom was never home, and like he just he was basically saying like he cheated through high school just to pass by, and then eventually like bite him in the butt trying to get into like the military because he couldn't pass a test, and then he gained like so much weight and this and that, and then basically being under like the Navy SEAL was like a redemption, and like me like doing the things that he was doing, I was like, man, I was like, how do you make your body work so hard that after a race you can't even physically get into your car? Like, how does that work? Like, I remember like having like my jiu-jitsu tournament, and I was just fatigued, like fatigue, just because it was so close. Like, I was just fatigued, but I can still get up and go to my car. But just having this dude, I mean, I remember Hurt 100. It was like in Hawaii. He did like a 100-mile race. It took him 34 hours. And then just from there, like, he couldn't even get up to get to his car.
Is that the one he had injury, like real injuries?
I think the story there is he was like urinating blood and stuff like that. Like
yeah, I think that was his first race.
Down.
Yeah. But man, I would say that was like the book, just because like it opened up my eyes, like what is possible. You know, just having like a strong like mental fortitude.
Yes. And yeah, that's David Goggins' story is incredible. One thing I think of when you were telling your stories is you went through a lot of adversity early in life, and you kind of kept working through it because you were able to achieve this or achieve that. David Goggins he calls it the cookie jar, right? Or he faces a tough time, he reaches in the cookie jar and remembers, okay, I got through this. This is nothing, you know, that kind of thing. But I will warn you, if you're listening to that book, David Goggins does swear a lot.
Yes.
So if you're listening to that on audio and you have kids in Audible and you have kids in the car, I'm going to give you that warning. It's a great book to listen to.
Very good
and
book.
I recommend the Audible version just because between each chapter it's kind of like a podcast. He's kind of talking
You
about...
talk to like David Goggins like in there.
Yeah.
And you feel exactly what he's feeling.
Yeah.
Kurt, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to contact you or communicate with you about anything? Project Uncharted?
I would say just reach out on Instagram. You can reach out to my personal or my business Instagram, rugged_Kurt. That'd be like my personal.
All right, good stuff. Kurt, thank you so much. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Have a great week. And thank you for listening to The Process. Make sure you click, like, subscribe, leave a review, all that good stuff. Guys, have a great day.
Boom.
Cheers.